Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Vijana Vallabha Srivaramari Vijana Vallabha Srivaramari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Srivaramari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Guru Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, so Sundays we read Caitanya-caritamrita. We don't, the volume we're in, I just don't have it on the paper, the book.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah, so I have to read it from here. We're starting from the beginning, so we're the first. What would be the first volume, chapter 1. But before we go into the Caitanya-caritamrita, on Sundays and on Fridays, the days that we don't do Srimad Bhagavatam, and then we sing something too. Otherwise, we never get a chance to sing these songs.
Yeah.
So this when we sing often, because it's related to Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, going out early in the morning and hurrying out to Sankirtan and so on. It's always a little when we do these songs. I don't want to change the new screen before we end it. But there's a little delay here in these systems. So bear with me. Adi-lila aruna pura bhavaje dvijamani gura amani jage. Akata sammuha loya sate gela nagara braje. Tatai tatai bhajalako gana gana tahe jantera ro. Preme dala dala sonara anga charane nupura bhaje. Mukunda madhava yadava hare bolena bolore vadana bore. Vichenida vashe gelore rati divasa sharira saje. Durlava madhava deho payaki kora bhavana keho. Evina bhajile yashoda sutta tarame porile laje. Tapana hoile asta nagelo pole pole me vyasta. Tabekeno me alasa hoy nabacharino ya raje. Jana hasar tahena navi navi parabar. Namaskaya kore jatane tu vitaka apana khaje. Jivera kayana saranaka jagate asi e madhuryanam. Avijati mira tapana rupe vikagare viraje. Krishna Namashila Goriya Pan Jurayo Bhakti Vinoda Pran. Lama Bina Kichu Nahi Ko Aro Choda Bhuvana Maje. When the tinge of red on the eastern horizon heralded the sunrise, the jewel of the twice-born Lord Gaura Sundar immediately awakened. Taking his devotees with him, he went all over the countryside, visiting towns and villages of Nadia. The mridangas resounded, tat-tai, tat-tai. The cymbals chimed in time, and Lord Gauranga's footbells jingled as his golden form trembled slightly, and ecstatic love of God. Lord Chaitanya called out to the townsfolk, "You spend your nights uselessly sleeping and your days decorating your bodies. Now just fill your mouths with the vibration of the holy names, Mukunda, Madhava, Yadava, Hari, chanting without offense. You have achieved the rare human body. Don't you care for this gift? If you do not serve the darling of Yashoda now, great sorrow awaits you at death." Each time the sun rises and sets, a day passes and is lost. Then why do you remain idle and refuse to serve the Lord of the heart? Understand this essential fact. Life is temporary and full of all kinds of miseries. So take shelter of the holy name as your only business. Desiring to bless all souls, the sweet name of Krishna has descended to the material world and now shines like the sun in the sky of the heart, destroying the darkness of ignorance. Drink the pure nectar of the holy name of Krishna and thus satisfy the soul of Bhakti Vinod. There is nothing but the holy name within all the 14 worlds. This is Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan. Sorry. Okay, so we're reading from Sri Caitanya-caritamrita Adi-lila, chapter 1. Chapter is called The Spiritual Master. Very important chapter. So I'll just read, and sometimes I may speak something. Jive sakshat nahi tate guru Chaitanya rupe Shiksha Guru Haya Krishna Mahanta Swarupe. Since one cannot visually experience the presence of the Supersoul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee, such as the spiritual master, and is none other than Krishna himself. Purport. It is not possible for a conditioned soul to directly meet Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if one becomes a sincere devotee and seriously engages in devotional service, Lord Krishna sends an instructing spiritual master to show him favor and invoke his dormant propensity for serving the Supreme. The preceptor appears before the external senses of the fortunate conditioned soul, and at the same time the devotee is guided from within by Chaitya Guru, Krishna, who is seated as a spiritual master within the heart of the living entity. Chaitanya Guru is another name for the Supersoul. So we're directed from without by Guru, and we're directed from within by Krishna, who is also a Guru, but in the heart. Tato du sangam utrujya satsu sajaya buddhiman santa evasya chindanti manovya sangam uktibi. Quote, one should therefore avoid bad company and associate only with devotees. With their realized instructions, such saints can cut the knot connecting one with activities unfavorable to devotional service. Purport. This verse, which appears in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 26th chapter, 26th verse, was spoken by Lord Krishna to Uddhava in the text known as the Uddhava Gita. The discussion relates to the story of Pururava and the heavenly courtesan Urvasi. When Urvasi left Pururava, he was deeply affected by the separation and had to learn to overcome his grief. It is indicated that to learn the transcendental science, it is imperative that one avoid the company of undesirable persons and always seek the company of saints and sages who are able to impart lessons of transcendental knowledge. The potent words of such realized souls penetrate the heart, thereby eradicating all misgivings accumulated through years of undesirable association. For a neophyte devotee, there are two kinds of persons whose association is undesirable. One, gross materialists who constantly engage in sense gratification, and two, unbelievers who do not serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but serve their senses and their mental whims in terms of their speculative habits. Intelligent persons seeking transcendental realization should very scrupulously avoid their company. We also read a nectar of instruction that if we one of the activities favorable for devotional service is, of course, to associate with devotees, and in other words, one of the activities which are unfavorable is the association of non-devotees. So here we're being advised the same thing, to avoid as far as possible the association of materialistic people, atheistic people, people who are not supported, because we're all affected by association. You know, we try to come together and associate with each other because we're all practicing Krishna consciousness, but because association, you say, it rubs off. You can't avoid it. You associate with someone very much at all, you're going to be affected by it, and they're going to be affected by you. So unless one is very, very strong in spiritual life, then you have to avoid the association of non-devotees. And of course, if one is really very, very strong, pure in heart, then that association won't hurt them, but the others will be benefited by their association, which is what Srila Prabhupada did for us. Satatang prasangam mamavirya samvito bhavanti hridkarna rasayana kata tadoshanad ash vapaparga vartmani shradavratir bhaktir anukramishanati. The spiritually powerful message of Godhead can be properly discussed only in a society of devotees, and it is greatly pleasing to hear in that association. If one hears from devotees, the way of transcendental experience quickly opens, and gradually one attains firm faith that in due course develops into attraction and devotion. Purport. This verse appears in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, 25th verse, where Kapila Dev replies to the questions of his mother, Devahuti, about the process of devotional service. As one advances in devotional activities, the process becomes progressively clearer and more encouraging. Unless one gets this spiritual encouragement by following the instructions of the spiritual master, it is not possible to make advancement. Therefore, one's development of a taste for executing these instructions is a test of one. is the test of one's devotional service. Initially, one must develop confidence by hearing the science of devotion from a qualified spiritual master. Then, as he associates with devotees and tries to adopt the means instructed by the spiritual master in his own life, his misgivings and other obstacles are vanquished by his execution of devotional service. Strong attachment for the transcendental service of the Lord develops as he continues listening to the message of Godhead, and if he steadfastly proceeds in this way, he is certainly elevated to spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's a process. Before we take up Krishna consciousness at all, we have that little bit of faith. So somehow or other, with a little faith, we come in contact with a devotee. We have a little faith. It's that there's something higher that I can learn. So that little faith, Shraddha, and then next comes sadhu sangha. So you have a little faith. Maybe I'll, just like we sometimes there are people who come by here and they say, "Wow, I've been living here. I've been living in this neighborhood. I've been living across the street from you for 20 years. I never knew you were here." But then somehow or other they come by and they look in and they get curious and they actually come inside and they start asking questions. And next thing you know, then they're saying, they start asking questions, and then somebody will say, "Oh, can you we're a little short-handed here today. Can you like wipe off the windowsills?" And something like that. And then of course the service starts, devotional service starts, this bhajana kriya, and then little by little it builds. So that's what we're reading about here. Ishvara Swarupa Bhakta Tanra Adhisthana Bhaktera Hridaye Krishnera Satata Vishrama. A pure devotee constantly engaged in the loving service of the Lord is identical with the Lord, who is always seated in his heart. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second, and therefore he is all-powerful. He has inconceivable energies, of which three are principal. The devotee is considered to be one of those energies. One of those energies, never the energetic. Energetic is Krishna. The energetic is always the Supreme Lord. The energies are related to him for the purpose of eternal service. Krishna's energy, Krishna's energies are related to him for the purpose of eternal service. A living entity in the conditioned stage can uncover his aptitude for serving the absolute truth by the grace of Krishna and the spiritual master. Then the Lord reveals himself within his heart, and he can know that Krishna is seated in the heart of every pure devotee. Krishna is actually situated in the heart of every living entity, but only a devotee can realize this fact. Sadhavo hridayang muhayang sadhunang hridayang tvaham mad anyate na jananti nahang tebyo managapi. Saints are my heart, and only I am their hearts. They do not know anyone but me, and therefore I do not recognize anyone besides them as mine. Purport. This verse appears in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 4th chapter, 68th verse, in connection with a misunderstanding between Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambarish. As a result of this misunderstanding, Durvasa Muni tried to kill the king. When the Sudarshan Chakra, the celebrated weapon of the Godhead, appeared on the scene for the devoted king's protection. That sentence again. As a result of this misunderstanding, Durvasa Muni tried to kill the king. When the Sudarshan Chakra, the celebrated weapon of Godhead, appeared on the scene for the devoted king's protection. When the Sudarshan Chakra attacked Durvasa Muni, he fled in fear of the weapon and sought shelter from all the great demigods in heaven. Not one of them was able to protect him, and therefore Durvasa Muni prayed to Lord Vishnu for forgiveness. Lord Vishnu advised him, however, that if he wanted forgiveness, he had to get it from Maharaj Ambarish, not from him. In this context, Lord Vishnu spoke this verse. And that verse was, we just said, saints are my heart, and only I am their hearts. They do not know anyone but me, and therefore I do not recognize anyone besides them. The Lord, being full and free from problems, who can wholeheartedly care for his devotees. His concern is how to elevate and protect all those who have taken shelter at his feet. The same responsibility is also entrusted to the spiritual master. The bona fide spiritual master's concern is how the devotees who have surrendered to him as a representative of the Lord may make progress in devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always mindful of the devotees who fully engage in cultivating knowledge of him, having taken shelter of his lotus feet. Those who are new here. You know who Durvasa Muni is? Savan? You know who Durvasa Muni is? We're reading about here. Maybe I'll mention this. So there was a king, pure devotee king, Ambarish Maharaj, and he had performed a long-term Ekadasi. 100 years? I think it was 1 year. But anyway, he observed it anyway and it came time to Ekadasi is supposed to be breaking the fast at a certain time period the next day. So he had done everything perfectly for this period of time, and then it was just when it was time to break fast, then he got a visit from a personality, Durvasa Muni. So Durvasa Muni is a very powerful sage, but he's also becomes very angry very easily, and he likes to curse people. So he came and he appeared in the palace of Ambarish Maharaj just at that moment. So Ambarish Maharaj, of course, invited him, but he was going to. But Ambarish Maharaj had to, because of the Ekadasi fast, he had to break this fast on a certain time.
Is it 1 year?
1 year, yes. He had to break his fast at a certain period, and Durvasa Muni, before eating anything, he wanted to go to the river and bathe. So when he came back, so Ambarish Maharaj thought, okay, I'll break my fast by just drinking some water. So he wouldn't break his fast because he wasn't even drinking water. So he was going to break his fast by just drinking water, so as to not eat before his guest. But Durvasa Muni came back, and he understood that Ambarish Maharaj actually even drank water, and he took it as a huge offense, and he was very angry. He was going to kill the king because he was so angry. So, but Ambarish Maharaj was a pure devotee of Krishna, and so the Lord sent his Sudarshan Chakra. You know the Sudarshan Chakra? Okay, Sudarshan Chakra's weapon. So he did like that. So then that's what we're reading right here, that Durvasa Muni was chased by the Sudarshan Chakra all over the universe. He was actually go all over the universe. He went to every demigod, begging them for protection from the Sudarshan Chakra, but of course nobody can compete with the Sudarshan Chakra. No way. So So finally he went to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu was saying, no, your offense was to Ambarish Maharaj. So you have to go back and beg his forgiveness. Dashishi Gaura Shishi Radha Braja Vihari Jagannath Balaram Lady Subhadra Witness Ganesh Bhalad Maharaj Ki. And which he ultimately did. And of course Ambarish Maharaj had no bad feelings about it at all. He's a devotee. He's Krishna's devotee. But he had to do that, and the Sudarshan Chakra left Durvasa Muni alone. Okay, going on. Bhavad Vida Bhagavata Stirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani Swanta Sena Kadaputa. Saints of your caliber are themselves places of pilgrimage. Because of their purity, they are constant companions of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even the places of pilgrimage. Okay, this is another pastime. Purport. This verse was spoken by Maharaj Yudhisthira to Vidura in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 13th chapter, 10th verse. Maharaj Yudhisthira was receiving his saintly uncle Vidura, who had been visiting sacred places of pilgrimage. Maharaj Yudhisthira told Vidura that pure devotees like him are personified holy places because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always with them in their hearts. By their association, sinful persons are freed from sinful reactions, and therefore, whenever a pure devotee goes to a sacred place of pilgrimage, read that again. By their association, sinful persons are freed from sinful reactions, and therefore, wherever a pure devotee goes is a sacred place of pilgrimage. The importance of holy places is due to the presence of such pure devotees. So, Vidura was a great saint. This is about 5,000 years ago, when Maharaj Yudhisthira was there. Around the time in history when Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna. Actually, it was just after that time. So just after that time. Se bhakta gana haya dvivida prakara parishad gana eka sadhika gana ara. Such pure devotees are of two types: personal associates, parishats, and neophyte devotees, sadhakas. Purport. Perfect servitors of the Lord are considered his personal associates, whereas devotees endeavoring to attain perfection are called neophytes. Among the associates, some are attracted by the opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and others are attracted by nuptial love of Godhead. The former devotees are placed in the realm of Vaikuntha to render reverential devotional service, whereas the latter devotees are placed in Vrindavan for direct service of Sri Krishna. So we can serve Krishna in two different ways. We, at least in the beginning, our devotional service is all great awe and reverence. That's the mood. And some devotees prefer to keep just that mood always. And that's actually what they aspire to be like that eternally. So someone desires that awe and reverence relationship with the Lord, then they ultimately get promoted to the Vaikuntha planets. There are unlimited Vaikuntha planets. They're very many and very large planets, much bigger than anything in the material world. just like we were reading about the Dweep planet, which is where the Kurma incarnation is. His body, his shell is 800,000 miles wide. So you can imagine, he's in the lake or in the ocean, and so you imagine how big the planet actually is. 800,000 miles means 100 times as the diameter of the Earth. So we can imagine. Anyway, those who have the mood of and desire to serve the Lord eternally in that mood of awe and reverence, then there's the Vaikuntha planets, where you go there and you actually have a body that looks almost identical to that of Lord Narayan, right? Almost identical. Lord Narayan has a little hair here, which is Srivatsa. Otherwise, there's no difference. You can have a body just like that of God. You can have great opulence. You can, of course, you're eternal and full of knowledge and very happy. But your mood is with the relationship with the Lord is all in reverence. And if you want to develop another mood, which is what Lord Chaitanya actually one of the special things that Lord Chaitanya actually gave us through this process that we're following, then we can develop a very intimate relationship with the Lord, where we go back to Goloka Vrindavan, not the other Vaikuntha planets, but the main Vaikuntha planet, which is Goloka Vrindavan. And in that main in Goloka Vrindavan, nobody knows that Krishna is God. You can imagine he hides that. And he prefers that. He with his pure devotees, he'd rather have this intimate relationship. He's not really so much into the relationship of just being there for awe and reverence. And then we have choice, but the highest is to go to Goloka Vrindavan and associate with the Lord there in a very intimate way. And that's what Lord Chaitanya gave us, that opportunity, and of course Srila Prabhupada has passed on that opportunity to us by following the process that we are following. Ishwarera Avatara Etina Prakara Angsha Avatara Ara Guna Avatara Shaktavesha Avatara Tritiya Emata Angsha Avatara Purusha Matsya Nikayata. There are three categories of incarnations of Godhead: partial incarnations, qualitative incarnations, and empowered incarnations. The Purushas and Matsya are examples of partial incarnations. There's no purport here, so we'll just go on. Brahma Vishnu Shiva Tina Guna Avatara Gani Shaktavesha Sanakari Prithu Vyasa Muni. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are qualitative incarnations. Empowered incarnations are those like the Kumaras, King Prithu, and Mahamuni Vyas, the compiler of the Vedas. Dui Rupe Haya Bhagavanera Prakasha Eketa Prakasha Haya Areta Vilasa. The personality of Godhead exhibits himself in two kinds of forms: Prakash and Vilas. Purport. The Supreme Lord expands his personal forms in two primary categories. The Prakash forms are manifested by Lord Krishna for his pastimes, and their features are exactly like his. When Lord Krishna married 16,000 queens in Dwarka, he did so in 16,000 Prakash expansions. Similarly, during the rasa dance, he expanded himself in identical Prakash forms to dance beside each and every gopi simultaneously. When the Lord manifests his vilas expansions, however, they are all somewhat different in their bodily features. Lord Balaram is the first vilas expansion of Lord Krishna, and the four-handed Narayan form in Vaikuntha expands from Balaram. There is no difference between the bodily forms of Sri Krishna and Balaram, except for their bodily colors are different. Similarly, Sri Narayan in Vaikuntha has 4 hands, whereas Krishna has only 2. The expansions of the Lord, who manifest such bodily differences, are known as Vilasa Vigrahas. Last sentence. The expansions of the Lord, who manifest such bodily differences, are known as Vilasa Vigrahas. So Krishna was in Dwarka. Krishna does everything big. So in Dwarka, Krishna was there, but he was king, but he had so many queens, and each queen he married her and lived with her in a separate palace. So there were more than 16,000 palaces that were just Krishna's in Dwarka, and it wasn't that all the queens were there and Krishna would just come and, okay, I'll visit you today, and I'll visit you tomorrow, and I'll visit you the next day, and maybe in a few years I'll get around to seeing all the wives for one day. No, Krishna was there in each palace with each queen constantly, and always engaging in different kinds of activities at the same time. So this is Krishna. This is Krishna.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So Lord Chaitanya, what category does he fall under?
Srila Prabhupada says Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself.
Right.
He doesn't. He says Krishna. Srila Prabhupada asked one devotee one time, says, "Do you know who Krishna is, or who Lord Chaitanya is?" He said, "Yeah, he's an incarnation of Krishna." And he says, "No, he's not an incarnation. He's Krishna himself."
Because I'm just wondering, because the expansions of the Lord manifest as bodily differences and the last of Vigraha. So is Lord Chaitanya the last of Vigraha? What is it? The last sentence of this.
Vilas Vigrahas. Lord Chaitanya.
That is, in my understanding, that is answered with the Radha Bhava Swami. Krishna himself used to come the holy creatures and
Right. So is he the last of Vigraha? Is he Swayam Bhagavan Krishna himself? No, this is a technical question.
Yes, I know that. I think that Krishna himself, as Prabhupada said, but in him the sentiments of Radha predominate. No? Krishna is.
Yeah, it's Krishna in the mood of Radharani.
Color and the sentiment. Otherwise, Radha Baba did Swarupa, now the Krishna Swarupa, so he is Krishna.
The Prakash. From the verse. Because it says, Prakash is found manifested by Krishna for his own pastime. Krishna expanding himself with 16,000. Krishna is Prakash, so it's Krishna himself.
Here is not even Prakash.
I mean, but aren't the other Krishnas also Bhagavan? The other Krishnas also, they're also Bhagavan themselves.
They are called Vigraha Prakash, form for manifested form. It's equally bodily too. But in this case, the time is not a manifested form. It's a united form of Radha Krishna combined, the same being and personality.
So it's like Krishna in in his particular mood, manifesting in that.
Like Jagannath Prabhupada said, Jagannath doesn't have the Vaikuntha planet. There is not a Vaikuntha planet for Jagannath. The Devotees Hospital. He's Krishna, he was expressing his mood, love. So that's why Jagannath doesn't have a planet, because he's Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya is Radha Baba was renowned in Krishna, however, he's Krishna himself. Like Chaitanya Bhagavan said, this two personality, they are one. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti, the transformation of the love, but then now they unite again.
The eternally separated and eternally united.
Huh?
The eternally separated but they united.
Yeah, that's why it's not Prakash. It's a manifestation.
Bhagavat, I am Bhagavat. Rajendra Ranjan Krishna.
Yeah, God with Radha Baba Devi predominating the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What is? It is a good question. I don't know if I can answer it. Okay, so it's supposed to only go to 8:30, and it says 8:32 here. And I think he gets the Sankirtan.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of Sankirtan. Millions of books.
Yeah.
Distribute so many books that the BBT will have a hard time keeping up with printing
We
them.
already did that.
Really?
That's it. You got to get Bhagavatam from
Wow.
Oh, yeah, you can give it to me. Thank you. You'll have 10 more cards?
I'm not sure. That's for Shanta Maharaj.
And we'll be reading half hour, 45 minutes. Huh?